Well, hello my beautiful book besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv if you're new here, and in this video we're going to be chatting all about the books that I hope to get to this spring. My spring sweatshirt for this? Yes. Am I already absolutely sweating in it? Yes. So don't say I didn't ever do anything for you guys, because this fit the vibe. Like, how could I not wear this sweatshirt? That being said, I'm here to chat with you about the 10 books that I would love to get to this season. This video is not only my personal TBR, but maybe it will give you some recommendations to pick up this spring, and maybe you've never thought about some of these as spring books before. I definitely have some like darker cottagecore, but also some really light fun books, mainly fantasy, but I do have a couple other fun books as well, so let's just go ahead and dive right in. The first book that has been on my TBR for probably the longest on my shelf, I swear I talk about this every single spring, but this year is finally the year that I dive into the Shady Hollow series. I remember my first impression of this book is I saw it before I really was like a YouTuber, and every single time that I saw it in Barnes & Noble, this art style and the spring colors just completely pulled me in. This year has definitely been the year of reading backlisted books for me, and this one is definitely at the top of the list. I feel like the back describes this book perfectly. The first book in the Shady Hollow series, in which we are introduced to the village of Shady Hollow, a place where woodland creatures live together in harmony until a curmudgeonly toad turns up dead and the local reporter has to solve the case. I believe we're following our main character, Vera Vixen, who is a fox. Foxes are one of my favorite animals of all time, and I don't think I've ever actually read a book where the animal had like human characteristics, so I think this is going to be a very interesting read for me and definitely get me out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I also love a good cozy mystery. I believe the 5th book or something also came out recently. I could be completely wrong, but there is quite a few in this series, and I'm hoping to read all of them, or at least the first one this spring. How can you not with a cover like this? Like, it's just too much. Next we have a middle grade book, which has also been on my shelf for ages, and I believe there's 2 or 3 out at this point. So again, if I love this first one, I will definitely be continuing on with the series, but that is Greenwild by Perry Thompson. This book just screams spring to me. I love the little cat up here, and it's been forever since I have read a good middle grade. I don't think I read a single one last year, and that's not because I have anything against middle grade. I was just fully into fantasy mystery thrillers. I'm really hoping that this one will kind of pull me back into the magic of a good middle grade. The only thing I know about this book is we're following our character, Daisy Thistledown. I am obsessed with that name. I might have to steal it for myself, but she's currently on the run to try to find her missing mother. I don't know exactly why she's missing, but she finds this secret doorway into a completely different magical land, and there's even a map of it here in the front. Are you kidding me? That is just so beautiful, and the naked hardback itself is absolutely perfect for spring. Not only that, the best part of this book is there's a botanist guide, a field guide in the middle of this, and there's so many pictures of different types of plants and trees and a bunch of different things about each one, which I feel like is a great way to teach kids about plants. So it's not only magical and fun, but it's informational, and this book is just so pretty. I'm not only extremely excited to see who this little cat familiar is on the front, but some of these pages are like full page illustrations on the inside as well. This book is just bursting with magic, and I cannot wait to see what it's all about. Next, we're gonna get into all of the magical spring fantasy reads. Some of these could teeter along summer, especially this next one. This is Where the Library Hides by Isabella Bañez. The first one is What the River Knows, so yes, you do have to read that one before you get to this. I am so excited to see what this book holds for me. I was obsessed with the first one. Literally one of the biggest cliffhangers ever. My jaw was on the floor, and I've been dying to get to this one, and because it's set in historical Egypt, it definitely gives off those hot, warm vibes, and even in the first book there was alligators, and it's just very atmospheric for this time of year. I definitely can't say too much about this series, especially if you have not read the first one. I'm not going to talk about this one, but the first one does follow our main character Inez, whose parents have gone missing. So she's kind of backtracking the places and people that her parents interacted with or supposedly interacted with, and she meets some family members along the way, possibly a love interest, and she goes on lots of exciting adventures. She's a very independent, stubborn person, and I relate to Inez a lot. What I really love about this duology though is it is a true like enemies to lovers. This has one of my favorite romances in banter, but what really makes this series fresh and new and interesting for me is that I've never really read a book or series that takes place in Egypt. So if you're like me and you're looking for something completely different or fresh, this is definitely a good place to start. Another book I've also been dying to get to, but honestly I've just not taken the time to read it, is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. This book sounds like Mary Poppins, and I could not be more excited about that. It says a rival ornithologist hunt through England for a rare magical bird in this historical fantasy rom-com reminiscent of Indiana Jones, but with manners, tea, and helicopter parasols. That just sounds so fun and uplifting, and it sounds like it's going to be such a sweet story and definitely something unlike anything I've read before. This book also does kind of sound academic, so I think there's going to be a lot of depth to this story. I love that they're rivals. I love good enemies to lovers, and this book is just giving off spring magic. I love the bird. The second book is already out. I believe there's going to be a third potentially this year, so this is a series that I feel like I could really fall in love with. I've had a lot of close friends say that they really enjoyed this and have also recommended it to me specifically, and I love a good historical fantasy. After I read Divine Rivals and What the River Knows, I have just been loving historical fantasy, and I feel like this one could potentially be 5 stars. Apologies for the continuous light change. I don't know what's happening, but there's so many clouds today. But we are on to our next book, and this book I think is probably going to take top priority over anything else. I saw that she recently was talking about her newest book, and I don't think it's within this series, but it looks very similar. This one is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I know she has been writing for quite some time now, but I've never read anything by her, and I feel like this is going to be the perfect place to start. This was a good place with kind people who cared about each other. There was a unicorn in the woods, mermaids in the coves, and the best raspberries she'd ever tasted. And then there was Lauren, a lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. I think this is like about a cozy kitchen. I don't think she's a witch, but I do know we have the found family trope in this. I think there's talking plants and potentially even lots of talk about books and libraries. I've heard that this story is just like a big giant hug and is perfect for people that are bookworms. I feel like this book is a huge contender for being one of my favorite books of the year, and obviously it sounds absolutely perfect for spring. I'm kind of going into this one blind. I just know that if I'm in a bad mood, I'm definitely going to be picking this book up. The next book I want to talk about, I believe, is still indie published. I've never seen this in bookstores before, but I know the author herself indie published the hardback on Amazon, and I think it's supposed to be a series. Again, don't quote me on any of that. It's been a while since I've done some research, but The Herb Witch's Apprentice sounds absolutely perfect for spring. Not only does this look beautiful and perfect for spring, I love this purple, but there are full page illustrations, you guys. I've heard that this one reads a little bit more middle grade. When 16-year-old debutante Amarante Flora finds out she's half witch, all she wants is to get rid of her magic. After all, zapping Prince Ash in the midst of high society season certainly wouldn't help her troublemaking reputation. But the more her powers grow, the more she realizes magic, and the witches who possess it are not as dangerous as she was led to believe. When the queen falls mysteriously ill, Amarante knows that there are far more dangers lurking in the palace than in Witch Village. This story sounds like a perfectly sweet Regency type of tale. I think there's a little bit of romance, and I love that we have a witch who is kind of going on this self-discovery journey, and I feel like the balls and the Regency vibes in general are very much already giving spring. And like I said, she illustrates this herself as well, which I absolutely love. The next book I want to talk about, I believe, was on my March TBR, but ever since Sunrise on the Reaping, I have been looking for something to fulfill that Hunger Games hole in my heart. And The Wild Huntress by Emily Lloyd Jones. Every 5th 20th year as harvests wane, two kingdoms meet in one domain, and those who cannot hunt for slay belong to your king for a year and a day. Kings and beggars trust to your aim, for in the wild hunt all are fair game. Essentially, this is the Hunger Games, but I believe whoever wins gets granted a wish of some kind, and I believe we're following multiple characters in this, which also sounds super entertaining. I know from what I've read with Emily before, even though this is a young adult, she definitely goes there. I have a feeling I'm going to absolutely fly through this one. I flew through her other book, but it's been quite a while since I've read something by her. I love everything about her, I just haven't taken the time to catch up on her backlist, so hopefully with this one I will be doing just that. Next I'm going to talk about a couple darker books, not necessarily horror, but books that are that darker kind of cottagecore feel. So this next one coming out on May 20th, I believe, is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This cover is just screaming spring to me. I haven't even read One Dark Window yet, and this is my most anticipated release of the year. From the New York Times bestselling author Rachel Gillig comes the next big romantasy sensation, a gothic miscloaked tale of a young prophetess who is forced on an impossible quest with the one devilishly handsome knight whose future is beyond her sight. Perfect for fans of Jennifer L. Armentrout and Leigh Bardugo. The queen of gothic romantasy returns, achingly romantic, richly imagined, and told with a gossamer delicacy that keeps the pages flying. I believe this is supposed to be a standalone, but don't quote me on that. Either way, I am so excited to finally get to this one. And with a cover like this, honestly, how could you go wrong? The next book I want to mention is one from an author who I absolutely adore. I really don't know what the heck is taking me so incredibly long to get through all of her backlist, but that is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. This author writes such haunting yet crazy, wild, enchanting stories, but she has such great unique concepts that really make you think. This one I did start reading a few years back, I think, when this first came out. You can see here that I still have my bookmark. I only made it like 45 pages in. The top of the pages are definitely bleached. I don't remember much about what this one is about though. It says Ellery Downing is waiting for something to happen. Life in isolated Amity Falls, surrounded by an impenetrable forest, has a predictable sameness. Her days are filled with tending to her family's beehives, chasing after her sisters, and dreaming of bigger things, while her twin Samuel is free to roam as he wishes. Early settlers fought off monstrous creatures in the woods, and whispers that the creatures still exist keep the Downings and their neighbors from venturing too far. When some townsfolk go missing on a trip to fetch supplies, a heavy unease settles over the falls. This sounds exactly like the movie The Village, which is one of my all-time favorites, but it's incredibly creepy. So hopefully this is finally the year that I read this one. So I lied. I said this was 10 books, but I actually have 11 because I have a graphic novel at the end of this that I do want to share briefly. It's a newer one that just came out that I'm really excited about. But before we get into that one, I have Where the Dark Stands Still. I have heard really crazy good things about this. We're following our main character who has some type of magical ability that she wants to suppress. So she goes into like this demon spirit forest and she's trying to forage a fern flower, which I guess is supposed to help suppress her magic. But then she ends up coming across this guy and she makes a bargain, and I don't know where we go from there, but I know that this is a standalone, kind of like romantasy. It's also gothic, and even though I really do love spring, I really do love a good gothic fantasy any time of year, so I feel like this is definitely going to be perfect for that. And then the last book I wanted to briefly mention is the Heidi graphic novel that just came out. This is by an author who also helped co-write, I believe, The Secret Garden and also the Anne of Green Gables graphic novel. So I love that she finally has her own book. I don't believe that she illustrated this one herself, but I mean, look at how adorable, and the color palette with all the greens and blues is very spring to me. This takes place in the Swiss Alps, where we have a little girl named Heidi who is sent to live with her grandfather, and she helps tend to, I believe, the goats, and they go on picnics. Honestly, it's been such a long time since I've even watched the movie. I believe it was with Shirley Temple, if I'm remembering correctly. I just remember loving that movie as a child. It was so magical and cute, and I feel like this is going to be so whimsical and perfect for spring. I just get overly excited every time I see someone adapt a classic because I think that's just so extra special and nostalgic, and that's definitely the feelings I hope to get from this graphic novel. Well friends, this concludes my spring TBR. I definitely have my work cut out for me, but if I even read some of these into summer, that is totally okay with me. And obviously I'm still going to be doing monthly TBRs, and I really do like making seasonal TBRs as well, because I feel like they're kind of like book recommendation videos for you guys. If I get to even a handful of these, I'm definitely going to be happy about that. If you made it to the end of this video, go ahead and leave me any plants or flowers or a sun or some type of emoji to let me know that you were here. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in my next video.